Hi, everybody, and welcome to Moving the Needle, Digital Transformation in the Accounting Profession. And I'm Gaynor Meilke from Charisma Inc. and Accounting Ignited. And I'm here with my co-host, John Higgins. And today we have the extraordinary pleasure to talk with Sandra Wiley. So, John, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Gaynor. Looking forward to our conversation with Sandra. This is the Moving the Needle podcast, and Sandra's moved the needle for the profession probably as much as anybody out there. So interested to hear what her thoughts are of the current state of affairs in the profession.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, Sandra, what you're doing next after a long career working with firms. So tell us and welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you both, John and Gaynor. It is so nice to be here. And it is I'm grateful for being a part of this podcast. And I love the name, Moving the Needle. That's what we're all trying to do, right? We're all trying to move the
Yeah.
needle. So I have been in this profession for 30 years, which seems unreal to me, but I have really loved all of the people that I have worked with here. And I do not want to stop doing that, but I needed to do something a little different. So my life has taken a little bit of a twist here, going from a company that I helped build and was there for 30 years. And now I'm starting all over again, starting my own new company. And it'll be very different this time around, but still with some of the great people that I've always worked with in this profession. And I I tell people all the time, people will say to me, I don't know about you guys, but people will say to me, what do you do? And I'm like, I work with CPA firms. And they'll go, oh, isn't that like completely boring and horrible? And I said, no, you do not know these people. They are smart and they are driven and they are great business people. And I get to get up every day and work with amazing, smart people, both on the thought leadership side and on the client side. So I love every minute of it. It's awesome.
That's
And
great. We just need to
that's
get the image campaign to be aligned with the reality of the profession. That's the
That is
biggest challenge
exactly
we have.
right.
right.
Yep,
Well,
that is
Sandra, you
exactly
and I
right.
should work on that, right? We can
Yeah.
spotlight the amazing CPAs and accountants and bookkeepers and EAs. I mean,
Yep.
and I know, Sandra, when you and I met, we aligned a lot because I feel the same way about accounting as well. People always say it's
Yep.
boring, and it's like, no, 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 you don't know
No, no, you
accounting.
do not understand at all. Or maybe
Yeah,
it's a good secret to keep, and then we get to keep it all to ourselves. I don't
Well,
know.
there you go. Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. So what are you seeing in the profession now, Sandra, as you've kind of taken a step back to have some perspective and now like moving forward again
Yeah.
in it? Like what do you think are the trends and things that people should be paying attention to?
It's been very interesting. So January 1st was really my first day working in the new company. And one of the things I committed to doing for the first 3 or 4 months is going to be just talking to people in the profession and finding out what exactly are people really focused on right now? What are they really working on? And what should they be working on? So there's a disconnect between maybe what they are doing, what they should be doing. But I got to tell you, this is not going to be a big surprise, but I mean, it is everywhere, and everybody's trying to get their arms around what it is, how to use it, how to, use it to your benefit, how to not be afraid of it. A lot of people are just scared to death that it's going to take over jobs or they're not going to be able to keep up to pace with what's going on. So I think AI is probably the first thing I would say. I still think that most firms out there don't really understand advisory yet. So that I think that would be my second like per thing that I would say is really on people's minds. I think that they believe they know what advisory is and what they're doing is just going more toward accounting services. Like let's just do more CFO work, but
Mm,
it's still just doing what they're doing today, or maybe taking past information and just looking at today. They are not looking at it as a future. Like, let's look into the future. Let's see what we can help our firms with or our companies with going forward. I don't think they're doing that quite well enough yet. And I think that's going to take a big change. Um, and speaking of change, I think change leadership is the other big thing
yes.
because people are tired. I don't know about the two of you, but people are tired of change. And we had a person in a meeting not too long ago. He said, okay, Sandra, I've just got a question for you. when can we just stop and just do work for a while? Like, when can we just not change anything? And I said, never. That's never going to happen. So you got to learn how to lead through that change because change is going to always be there every day. And every day something new is going to come out. So I think those are like three big buckets that are out there that we really have to all focus on right now. So AI, advisory, change leadership, those are three big ones.
Yeah, and obviously the AI is going to be bringing about the change,
Yeah.
faster than ever before. So
Yeah.
it's not going to get any easier in that regard.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
so
absolutely right. And I think a lot of people are just trying to figure out where do I even go to learn about it. I've talked to some people who are like, we're going to our local university and they're teaching AI there and we're going to pick up some classes there. Other people are like, I'm going to go online, I'm going to go people like John Higgins and I'm going to figure out what they're doing and I'm going to do what they do. And others are saying, I found an app that I can use on my phone and I'm learning it that way. I think any of those is fine. I just think you got to do something. You can't just do nothing and expect it to all be okay. So,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
you have
I
to
think
use it every day. Just try to use it wherever you can, just to get more
yeah,
mhm,
comfortable with it. And I find it to be the best learning resource I've ever had. You know,
yeah.
when I hear
I
a topic
agree.
and I just want to learn more about it, I just go and go and go. And then
Yeah.
20 minutes later, I feel like I'm somewhat of an expert in whatever the topic was because I just kept asking questions and getting the answers right away.
Well,
Yeah,
see, and
somebody
that's
told me, I don't, Gaynor, you may do this too, and I'm sure we all do some. What I'm finding is that whether I'm using Gemini or whether I'm using ChatGPT or whatever system I decide to use, I almost have a conversation with it, which is so interesting to me. Like I'll ask, like, here's what I want to know, and then it'll come back and it'll say something, and then it's almost like it's asking me a question. I'm like, oh no, no, I want you to do this. It's like another person out there that I'm talking to, only I'm doing it virtually. So.
I think that's something that people also kind of gloss over as well is you can go and learn about AI, but you can also ask AI how it can help you, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
it's, I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z in my firm. How could you help me, Copilot, Gemini, Plod, whatever, or give me a plan for doing X, Y, and Z in my firm?
Yep.
Right? And like that's also a good place to start because then you can see the resources that you might want to tap into as well. So I was just listening to a podcast about this very thing the other day, and it's like, yeah, I mean, we have to use AI to tell us how to use AI, essentially,
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
ways.
I
I
agree.
think it's also very helpful when you can, like, particularly for small firms, network with other small firms just to
Yes.
find out what the reality of it is. Because there's a lot of
Mhm.
like hype about this AI, and then there's the reality of adoption. That where are we at in the adoption curve, especially in the smaller firms, because I
Well,
think they're behind the medium sized larger firms.
I
I
agree. I
know.
think they just don't have as many resources, right?
Yeah.
They don't have the time to
Right.
really dig in and figure it out, or they don't have the money to hire somebody to really figure it out for them. And most of the small firms I've been talking to, they're not afraid of AI. I mean, I think they're excited about what could happen. They're really frustrated with lack of time, lack of
Yeah.
money to actually get something done. So they're kind of waiting in the wings for somebody just to say, here's what it is, go use it. And they would, but
Yeah.
they don't want to have to figure it out. It takes too much of their resources to do that.
Yeah.
I
I think the
think
good
there's
news is it's going to get a lot easier. I really believe just within this year, it's going to get much easier to do a lot more with it. So it's
I
Yeah.
think there's also two other things there. There's one using solutions that already have AI in them that are accounting specific. So,
Yeah.
there's no reason to reinvent the wheel in some ways. If you've got a proven solution that, has a workflow in it that works for you. I mean, some firms choose to build their own, but there are apps out there that incorporate AI. And then I think the other thing is the discipline of saying, okay, I'm going to do this now. Let me use AI to help me with it instead of like it's a discipline to start going to those tools and saying I'm going to use AI now. And like there's some companies out there that are mandating their employees that they have to use AI, and then they have policies and procedures for how do we use AI in these situations. So,
I agree
Yeah.
with you there. I think again, the adoption I think is going to be much better this year. Last year it was kind of like we're just still trying to figure out what is AI. This year it's going to be adoption, but I also think there's a lot of CIOs out there that are wrestling with the security side of this
yeah.
because there are still people that do, in my opinion, kind of dumb things with it. Like they'll put, "Here's my tax return. What should I?" I'm like, "No, don't
Yeah.
do that." Right? So I think that security is going to be still right at the top of the list of things that we need to be careful of as we are adopting AI. But I think it leaves a great opportunity for people to really dig into their humanness and figure out how to use their talent with AI. So
Mm,
this is something that AI can do for me. I don't really get any charge out of doing that. It's just a kind of a waste of my time, but I got to do it. So I get AI to do that. And then that leaves me open to have conversations with my clients, to be empathetic when they need somebody to hold their hand, to show them what we could do with their future and make it better for them. That's the kind of thing that I think we as human beings, as CPAs, we can really flourish in all of this. We can be really, it could be great for us, but
yeah.
it's really being it's a collaboration with the AI that you have. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind for people. I think that's going to be important.
Yeah. So definitely security ethics too, and the
Yeah.
ethics of using AI, and are there any legal implications of utilizing those tools and exposure for,
Yeah.
if there's an error in there, and
Yep.
how do you cover that? And that's something in cybersecurity and cyber insurance. Now, they're also like that's coming down the pike. I was just talking to somebody in that industry, and they were saying that like AI usage is going to become like a risk factor for
Mm.
firms.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
It,
Yep.
yeah, so how they're going to account for that and everybody's premiums and policies, I'm not sure how that's going to work, but
Yeah. I don't know
we'll
how
find
that'll
out.
play out yet, but it will play out for sure.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, somebody said it. I can't remember now which one of you did, but it's kind of like it everywhere now, right? You go
Mm,
into Google something and there's AI
yeah.
there, and you go into I'm assuming you go into almost any software out there, and they're starting to use AI within their software. So I was at a conference earlier this year, and I said, "How many of you are using AI in some capacity?" Like almost nobody raised their hand, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute. How many of you Googled something today?"
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah. And then how many of you have used ChatGPT? Maybe not in your work, but you've got it on your phone and you're using it for something else. My husband and I went on a 6 week road trip where we were
Wow.
doing some business and some personal stuff. And he put in where we were traveling, well, like where we had to be on what dates. And then he said, now, ChatGPT. Now figure out where we should, what towns we should stop in, what hotels or bed and breakfasts that we should stay at, and what restaurants we should eat at when we're at those locations. It did the entire itinerary for us and gave us the cost about what it would cost at each one of those places. It was amazing. And I'm thinking to myself, if I can do that with just a personal trip, think what we can do for our clients. Think what we can do for our businesses if we just use it in a better way, right? And you were talking about, I think Gaynor, you talked about taking minutes and notes and things like that. So Zoom has Note Taker now, and you can use Plod. There's a whole bunch of different ones out there. I used it for a strategic planning session that I had the other day, and I was having the owners of the business write out what their vision for the future was. And then I recorded all of that. And then I had Plod give me a transcript of the whole thing. And then I said, okay, now give me the things that were the same in each one of their visions and what were the things that were different in each one of those. Now, that would have taken me, I could have done it,
Yeah.
but it would have taken hours. It took
Yeah.
literally 20 seconds and it
Mhm.
was done. And then I went back and reviewed it. So to your point, you can't just take for what it, verbatim because might not might not transcribe everything exactly right. But then I'm just reviewing and making sure that I know it. It was amazing. So I think AI is going to be just amazing for all of
Yeah.
us.
I think
Yeah.
it's
Look.
already like opened so many different doors for people. And
Yeah.
even like today, I got an email from Google about now there's AI, like an AI concierge in your Google Analytics. So you can ask questions to the AI. So instead of like going through all the reports in like Google Analytics to figure out, you know, even, what should we be focusing on for AI search and, how is this content performing or, visitors to the site and, different, all the dimensions that you can get into, you can just build reports using AI, which thank goodness is like so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I had an experience last week where I was having some trouble with our website, and so I had to call in for support. And it was an AI agent, but I have never had such a conversational discussion. It answered all my
Interesting.
questions better than a human ever could, and it knew right away. I would ask it a question to give me the answer, and I'd ask for something a little bit different. I couldn't believe it. I even think about showing it maybe as a demonstration in my presentations because
I think
I've
you
never
should.
seen one that was quite that good. And like I say,
Yeah.
it's even better than a human because just the way it responded so quickly and so accurately on everything I asked it. It was amazing.
Wow.
I sure hope Amazon put some of that in place.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's
That
a
would
lot
be
of places
good.
need,
They
there's a
have
lot of places need to
I'm
put that in
sorry,
place.
it
Yeah.
is not good service that way. Okay. So,
Well, but you know what? I again, I would say to any human out there, then listen to that and beware, right?
Right.
mhm,
Because the reality is our customer service has to get better.
yeah.
Mhm.
Our response time has to get better. What we do with our clients has to get better, or we will get taken over by AI. I mean, so that what exactly that conversation, I go into, I am kind of lamenting about just service in general.
Oh
You go
no.
into most places today and service is terrible. People don't
Yeah.
smile, they don't look at you, they almost act like it's a pain that you're there. And what I want to tell them is, listen, the one thing that you have that AI does not is a personality. You got to
Right.
let that shine. And if you don't, you are going to be in trouble going down the road. So
Yeah.
I I think there's a lesson to be learned there. A
Yeah.
big
Yes, for
lesson to
sure.
be learned.
Well, and I think that's like that is the one of the leverage points that accountants have
Yeah,
because people want like a real person that they can trust to talk about their finances, their business, their taxes with. Like the golden opportunity is like right there to talk to them and advise them. That's what people want. And, you know, anybody can, you can sure, and as Sandra said, please don't drop your tax return into AI.
right.
But that's what people are thinking. So it's also
Yeah,
an
Yeah.
education process. Like it's not just the numbers, it's the whole security layer, like everything. There's so many areas that accountants can advise on, and business owners want it. Like the data shows that. So it's
yeah.
just like take it and run with it, right?
I was listening to a gentleman the other day who has a new software out, and the software is basically AI. It's all built on AI, and it's built to go in and it looks at if your client is on QuickBooks, it goes into QuickBooks and it can pull data from the past and current, and you can plug in whatever their goals are, and then it will immediately give you reports and tell you things that you should be looking like risks that you are up against. There are things that you should be paying attention to. So it's all the things that an accountant would talk to their client about. And so and it's amazing. I mean, it is simply amazing. And I said to him, okay, so I know that you're going to pitch this to CPA firms, but if I'm a business owner, can't I just get your software and then I can run that and then I can see what I need to do? And he goes, yes, you can. But he said, there's also things about what's happening in the future that your accountant could tell you about that would be different than just kind of what the software spits out.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, that is true, but not many people know that. And until CPAs out there, until accountants out there start having those conversations with their clients and putting that as a priority, eventually clients are going to start asking the question, why do I need them?
Right.
We
Right.
do
Well,
not want them to ask that question. I guess
Yeah.
that would be what I would look at every CPA out there and say, that is not what you want. You want your clients to know that you have information that they need.
Well,
And
that's
all the technology in the world can do the reports, but you're the one with knowledge to help them implement those things. So,
And I think it's not
it,
only what can they do, it's also like what are the pitfalls if you don't know this information? Like
yes.
this is
Yeah.
what, you don't have to use real life, client cases. You can just say like, did you know if you're not doing X, Y, and Z, this is, your cash flow is going to like dry up eventually, or, whatever the negative is, it's like we're protecting you proactively from experiencing these problems. Like,
Yep.
don't wait until you're dying to go to the doctor. You go to
Well, I
Yeah.
the,
think what this brings out is that as much as the CPAs need to develop their AI skills, they need to really develop their communication skills.
yes, there's
Yes.
storytelling.
Yeah, to have the
Yes.
confidence to have those conversations with their clients.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
they could practice going back and forth having a conversation with AI too,
You're
right?
right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Somebody, I have to tell you a funny little story about that. I was given a presentation and I was showing how to use ChatGPT or one of the tools. And I was typing my prompt. I said, please. And I used the word please. And the woman in the front row said, whoa, don't be saying that. Don't be talking to it like it's a human. And I'm thinking to myself, well, the reason I do that, I do it intentionally because if I talk to it like a machine, then when I'm talking to you folks, I'm going to sound like a machine, right? I
Yeah.
worry about, having that interaction with humans where I'm talking more like a machine than a human as I normally have.
Well,
John, I was just
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say, so John told me that story once, and every time I write please into my AI, I'm like, John would be proud of me. It's true. I took that to heart because I think it's a good practice,
Well,
It's
and I think it picks up the way that it gives you stuff back, it picks up on your personality too. So
Right. Yeah.
I don't try to leave my personality out of I do the pleases and the thank yous and everything because
That's a great point. Yep.
yeah, I think it picks up on that when it's writing
It does.
things for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. So definitely the takeaways so far have been either experiment with AI, get comfortable doing it, using it on a daily basis. If you're not comfortable without guardrails, there's some cases where you want to use a baked-in solution that's proven, and then talking to other professionals and people who are using AI to see what else is happening and to be the advisor.
Yeah.
You know, it's even when you're doing somebody, if you're doing somebody's taxes, you can still drop them a few breadcrumbs so that they're like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be trying to put this in anything into AI and what would the future look like if I had some tax planning, right? Like there's opportunities to start opening the door to those bigger engagements.
yep.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So, any solutions, Sandra, that you're thinking of in particular that you think firms should take a look at?
Well, I mean, I think we've mentioned quite a few. There's, ChatGPT, Copilot, Plod. I love my Plod. I carry it with me all the time. It's easy to use. I've started using Gemini more, and I'm really enjoying using Gemini. Um, the and John, I don't know if you've heard of this one yet, but it's forimpactdata.com. And
No.
it's an interesting new system out there that is it's that AI that will actually dig out things that from people's books and then the accounting firm can then get that information and use that to advise their clients. I think everybody should just take a look at it. It's fairly new out there, but it's one of the best I've seen in a long time. And I think it's because it's built on AI, it's very
Yeah.
futuristic looking. So I think that's one to look at.
What was that called, Sandra?
Yeah.
For impact data.
Yeah. I
For
think
impact
I've
data.
talked to them before, like
Yeah,
right
and
when
that's
they
the
were in
number
the,
four. So the
yeah.
number four and then impact data. And Eric Eager is the CEO of that company. Really interesting. It's very interesting. You should check it out. I would love to hear what
Yeah.
John, what you think about it, because you have your finger on the pulse of a lot of different systems out there. So I'd love to hear after you've taken a look at it, tell me. And
I
um,
will do that. Yeah,
yeah,
take
I'd
a look.
love that. I'd love that.
So do you
Those are
think that
probably the
there's,
big ones. How about you guys? Have you heard of anything that I need to know about?
hmm,
Well, I'm going to tell you what I think is going to be the biggest thing that's going to come this year.
Okay.
Uh, so you've heard of Claude Cowork, right?
Yep.
mhm.
And I don't know if you know how it works, but it's locally installed on your computer, and it just does whatever you would normally do on your computer. Well, Microsoft has licensed Claude Cowork, and so
Mm.
now they're embedding it into Microsoft 365.
Oh, wow.
And so
Ooh.
I did like just I'll give you one quick example. So I have a file folder with all my contracts for my speaking engagements. They're just kind of just individual 1 or 2 page contracts. And then I have the Microsoft Planner app where every time I get an engagement, a speaking engagement, I set up a task in the Planner app, okay, for the engagement. The two are totally unrelated. There's no relationship to them whatsoever. So I just go into this Copilot Cowork and I said, look at my folder of contracts and make sure I have a task set up in Planner for each contract.
Mm.
It came back and was amazing. It said, you have 2 contracts for which you have no task. Oh, and by the way, on this one task, you spelt the client name this way, and in the contract, it's spelled that way.
Mm.
And there's other examples, but anything you would do at your computer, uh, especially within the Microsoft 365, it works the way Claude Cowork works. So I think because so many firms are using 365, once they realize this, it's in pre-release right now, so it's probably going to come out, I'm going to guess summertime, maybe. It'll be really interesting to see what impact that has. Because, Claude
Wow.
Cowork's been getting all the press the last 6 months, really.
Yeah. So I
That's awesome.
guess from my perspective, I know of another accounting practice management system that's got a coworker that's coming out very shortly. So once this is published, it'll be out. And that's Canopy. So that'll be
Oh,
available within Canopy. And they've got all kinds of AI tools, keep rolling them out. Another one that's relatively new is XAMPP, which is it's actually AI and human in the loop sales tax. So that could be a real game changer for firms because not only like they can basically wash their hands of sales tax. And I know a lot of firms are avoiding e-commerce because of the sales tax headaches with that, but you can help more e-commerce or any kind of company that's got sales tax issues. So that's a new one. Um, yeah, and Tax Rock. I think we just had Tax Rock on here
yeah.
as well. So that's an IRS monitoring tool, not as much AI driven. But I mean, I think one question I would have for you, Sandra, too, because I know John and I sometimes debate this with different people who are on moving the needle is what's your take on having like a sort of enterprise solution that's like a canopy over everything practice management. It's got all the things baked into it versus looking at best of breed and kind of creating your own ecosystem. What's your thought?
I feel like most of my career, I have always said, best of breed as long as they can integrate with each other, right? So best of
Mm,
breed, but make sure that they can talk to each other because if they can't talk to each other, you're in trouble. But
mm,
but I think most of the time the reason we've said that, the reason I said that is because there hasn't been anything out there that had everything. So, I mean, a lot of them, I think, wanted to say they have everything, but at the
Right.
end of the day, they don't. And
mm-hmm.
now, and right now, I don't think there's very many. Now, you can debate the canopy piece, but, most of them, there's some that are coming out that are going
Yes.
to be better. But yeah, I'd still say look for something that has most of what you want, and then find things that will blend into that they can talk to each other. Because it is hard to find. I think it's impossible almost to find something that'll do for because
Right.
CPA firms are so broad these days. It's not just like they
Yeah.
don't just have 2 things that they do. They
Yeah.
have many things that they do. So yeah, I'd say best of breed probably would be where I would land.
I think the other thing is people are, things come and go too.
Yeah,
And you've also got to like take that into consideration. Like, how much do you want to bake something into your workflows that's brand new, that's like
mhm,
an integral piece before it's been around for, a couple of years? Because we're seeing more AI on like the tax preparation side.
right.
And it's like, as long as it's going to carry you through and you're not going to have an issue where it goes away or something like that. Not that
Yeah,
that
I think,
happens too often, but
well,
especially so many eyes now I think are on AI tech, and accounting is like a prime target because there's so much usage,
I
right?
Yep.
think the come and go issue is going to become very accelerated over the next couple of years because it's so easy now to develop software,
Yes,
and it goes back, ties also back to Sandra's point about people just getting stressed out with all the change. So now I'm
yes,
getting bombarded with all these different tools out there. How do I sort them out, and who's going to be here? Who's here today? Who's going to be here tomorrow? And I think it's going to see
yeah.
a lot of change that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so. Yeah, words of wisdom from John and Sandra. What do you think? What do you think? What's a firm to do? It's like you want to like take on try out the new tools, but how do you balance that?
Well, my advice is they should spend 2026 just learning
Okay.
about AI as much as they can, and then see how all the software shakes out over the next year or so, because it's going to
Hmm.
look a lot different a year from now than it does right now, I believe. All the software.
It's kind of like
Yep.
your investment portfolio. Keep your
Yeah,
eye on what on what's coming up, but don't just like jump around too much.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, all right. Well, good stuff, Sandra. Do you have any other wisdom, or what are
Oh, you
you
know me.
hoping
I
to
think
do
I
with
could I
firms?
could stay on here all day, but I would
I
just
know.
say I love what John said about take this year to learn. That doesn't mean you don't do,
Yes.
but take some time to learn things and then implement a little bit at a time. I think all of us have heard, take a look at your job, find a few places within what you're doing where you can
Hmm.
insert AI and you'll start getting really excited about it. And then you'll find more places. But you got to just take little baby steps. You do not have to replace an entire system, just little baby steps and as you learn. So I think that's great advice.
Very good. Well, thank you, Sandra. We're gonna have to have you on again, maybe after your first whole year being Sandra, and I'm sure you're gonna do a ton of learning, and you'll be able to teach us what your insights are too.
We can all learn from each other, right?
Yeah,
100%.
well, thanks for helping us move the needle, Sandra,
Yes,
and
thank you.
best of luck for success with your new venture.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye now.